If defined by labels, I am a preoperative female-to-male transsexual. If asked about my situation, I say that although I was born with a female body, my identity is male. I am a male. To achieve a balance in my life, I must seek assistance from the medical community. The things which most men take for granted, facial hair, a flat chest, a masculine chest, a penis, I have to pay for, not only in monetary terms, but physically and emotionally as well. In order to have what should have been mine by birth, which I believe, I must win the approval of therapists and physicians alike. You may argue that it is not approval, but that it is guidance. Whatever you call it, whatever I call it, the fact remains that I require their permission to properly align my body with my mind. The body hair that I have, the facial hair that I have because of the testosterone that I must inject into myself every other week for the remainder of my life. I was 33 years old when I began transitioning, when I began my hormone therapy. And assuming that I lived to be 75 years old, I will have injected myself more than 1,000 times. And because testosterone is a heavily regulated Class C drug, I must visit my doctor every few months for a renewal on my prescription. Devil testosterone, in case you haven't noticed, is a very powerful one. With my first injection 5 years ago, I began noticing drastic changes. First and foremost, menstruation stopped. I was very grateful for that. I have body hair all over. I grew a beard. Not much of a beard, but I did grow a beard. There were other changes as well. My vocal cords lengthened. My voice lowered. I lost a lot of body fat and developed more muscle mass. My hands and feet got bigger. My shoulders broadened. I went up shirt sizes. My neck recovered. Many FTMs report that they gained weight, especially as muscle mass weighs more than fat. With my metabolism, however, I actually lost it. I can't tell now because my appetite's increased and I'm gaining it back. And while my hairline receded slightly, I did not lose my hair, and I'm also grateful for that. I even smell different, or so I'm told. And I have been told. Despite these many changes, my female body must still undergo a series of operations in order to physically resemble that which genetic men see every day in the mirror. And while my chest is as hairy as any genetic man's, it will never be flat without surgery. In order for me to have this procedure done, I must have 2 letters of recommendation from therapists, one of which must be either a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Obviously, to receive these referrals for surgery, I have to be a patient of theirs. Now, there are standards of care, designed for treating transsexuals. And these standards require that we receive therapy and undergo a series of psychological tests which may aid in confirming our condition. The trick is always in finding a good therapist who understands gender issues. Now, I do believe in therapy. There are too many people confused about their gender identity, and unfortunately, some are running from things in their lives and mistakenly believing that sex reassignment is the answer to all their ills. It is not the answer. That's where a good therapist comes in. What I mean by good is that they are knowledgeable, understanding, sensitive, and above all, non-judgmental. A good therapist must be open-minded, unbiased, and willing to learn. We have to learn about ourselves. We have to learn about what we feel inside. We learn about our expectations, what we must do to achieve congruity in our lives. Therapists must learn also. They must understand us, the real us, the us that's inside. You can only learn so much from books. You need to listen, not just hear. In this country, we are legally able to change our sex designation. And as a female-to-male transsexual, I must have a hysterectomy in order started to have my birth certificate changed. This is not as easy as it sounds. Most gynecologists will not remove the otherwise healthy reproductive organs of an FTM who has not yet begun hormone therapy. And once we begin hormones, we begin cross-living, and our names, if we legally change our names, we enter a very awkward phase in our transition. How does a man whose appearance, demeanor, and whose name is characteristically masculine go to a gynecologist's office or into a hospital for a characteristically female operation? Tell me, what hospital ward would you put me in? I'm one of the lucky ones. On my Florida driver's license, my sex is marked in. I've had no surgery. Looking the way I do, every time I have to show my license, I wonder if the person looking at it sees that him, or if I still had enough, would they see that? Now, I believe most people don't really look, but we know that better. Many people would argue that we desire to be men for the male privilege, or for sexual reasons. There are many ways of making love to people, and in my opinion, any man who believes that without his penis he is less of a man is the one who truly needs therapy. I may not have a penis, but I am still a man, and as our friend Marilyn likes to say, sex is between the ears, not between the legs. Penile construction, as I'm sure Sheila has said, is in no way a perfected surgery, and many female males choose not to have this operation. Note that this is the first time I've used the word choice. Our transition is not out of choice, but rather necessity. We must, for our own sanity, for our own happiness, for our own value as human beings, go through this transition to whatever place it leads. Transitioning comes with a heavy price tag. The financial burden is only part of it. We pay in many other ways. For me, the emotional price tag was the hardest. I am the youngest of 4 children. My family has not taken the news of my transition well. My mother believes that she is losing her baby. Now, I may look different, but my soul is still the same. They choose to deal with it by the old cliche, out of sight, out of mind. If I don't have to see it, I don't have to believe it. So it's not there. It has been 4 years since I've seen my baby. I don't usually tell people about my situation. So where I live and where I work, my neighbors, my colleagues, they all think of me as a regular guy. I like keeping it that way. I don't want to have to worry about being harassed or running into some closed-minded, ignorant bigot who would rape me just to prove I was a woman. Some might call it living in fear. I call it defensive apprehension. It's always better to be cautious and stay safe. I know that this sounds like a hard way to live. Male to female TSs have an even rougher time. Some of them find passing in public more difficult than guys do. Society has usually, almost always accepted non-women. Women have been able to buy and wear men's clothes for years. So transitioning is definitely a little easier for us in the beginning. But watch a man go into a woman's boutique or into a lingerie shop. See how they straight. If you were to ask me if I would go back and do this all over again, if I was born with the same condition as I have now, yes, I would definitely do this again. I would have to strive to make myself better. I realized after writing this that it sounded rather downbeat. Why would anyone want to put themselves through this? And I can only speak for myself. But through all my losses and all the hardships I've endured, I've had good times. And I am more confident and more secure in myself. I like the way I look. I like who I am. I'm happier. I feel more important to myself as a person. I truly like me. Isn't that what we all strive for in our lives? To be the best that we can be? I truly love my family. You don't talk to me, but I love them. This is my family here, and I truly love them. I love my partner in life, more than life. But what's most important is that I can honestly stand here and say to you, and say to me, I love you.